Serpents Table all began when I would sit with my mate Annette Chenois, and we talked a lot about Asian performers and storytelling, and food is such a strong way of communicating, of gathering together around a table. That's what my family did as many people. When words weren't enough, we would eat. Also, what's really unique about this piece is that this little small group of an audience can experience the communion of the story, and it's very heartfelt, and then they can actually taste the emotion of the story through the food.
The simplest show ever, really. It's a series of stories told by chefs and cooks and restaurateurs about amazing recipes in their lives. And the big thing that Griffin is interested in doing is moving personal identity stories beyond just the personal into really bigger questions about who's living in the country and why we're here and where we're going as a country. So it's 5 stories that'll take us on a journey from our past into the future that we're going to.
Story number 1 is Pauline Nguyen, and business manager and owner of the Red Lantern. And so she is talking about a story of coming with her parents and her family from Vietnam to Australia. And the subject matter is about forgiveness, and says with great honesty and pragmatism of empowering her life and moving forward.
There comes a time when you need to overcome your fears by looking at it in the face. And for the sake of my mother, and for the sake of my brothers, and for all the shame that I had dumped on my family in the years that I was away, I reluctantly reconciled with my father.
Food has been a passion of mine and my family's all our lives. So it's very fitting that I'm in this show, and bitter melon soup in my family represents reconciliation. It's in Vietnamese, it's translated as gan khổ qua, which literally means suffering gone. It's a bitter-sweet soup with medicinal qualities, and it's a beautiful way to say, I'm sorry, eat this, get well. I hated that sense of claustrophobia and suffocation I always felt in his presence. But what I hated the most about those visits was the overwhelming realization that I had grown up to be just like him.
It's the first time I've ever understood really a metaphor in flavour. And the story of her soup, the flavour that she describes, is what the story of forgiveness actually is. Yes. You know, it was amazing. The first time I tasted the soup, suddenly I'm ingesting that story and I'm like crying and eating the soup, and the soup's amazing. And now for me, forgiveness tastes like bitter melon soup.
You see, angry people are very skilled at noticing all that is wrong. And I carried this anger with me for a very long time. They're not stories about how hard it was. It's a story about, this is my story, but what am I going to do about it now? It's not about what happened to you that's important. It's really about what you're going to do with those things that happened to you that is really important. It's about progression and moving on and walking in a line together, arm in arm. I was determined to not be the same person I had always been because I was frightened of history repeating, frightened of treating my own child the way I had been treated, and I was determined that the cycle end there. It is a very intimate thing, and I think that's the beauty of this whole show. The actors are the writers as well, and so I think it's a real privilege for a lot of people to be introduced into our little story, our little world that means so much to us. And it's an honour as well to be able to present it in that way.
For me, there is definitely a sense of it being therapeutic because I get to challenge the idea of what people think. That to me is the whole excitement and attraction of this type of performance, is to be face to face with a group of people and see that hopefully moment of surprise where they are shocked or have to confront what they would assume someone who maybe looks like me would think about certain things. You pick up the Herald on the weekend and you see a recipe for pork dumplings or prawn dumplings, and I think, mate, don't even bother. We're not making that stuff at home. We go out to eat it. Don't try.
The Asianness is irrelevant. These are stories that are really important stories I think the world is ready to hear.
I think that's a really important thing as where we can get labelled as, and this is a piece of style of theatre that is about Asian Australians. It's much bigger, and we are very proud that it is the questions that we've been forced to ask within our stories.
It's actually the differences that are really, really interesting. You know, that diversity of experience and opinion, I think is really important to see, so that we're not only ever seeing, you know, one type of Asian female story or one type of Asian male story or one type of Asian story. You know, there's a combination of things that it's really refreshing to see at one table.
It's an incredible act of generosity. I think it's people sharing their treasured thoughts with an audience that they care for. And I don't think it's like theatre. I think it's like being invited into people's lives.
Yeah.
People have a really strong reason for sharing those stories because they actually think that the knowledge that's embedded in those stories can make a difference for other people.